Egg salad sandwich. I'll tell a story. It's about a book I read in prison. I read several, but this one, it's a really good story. Now listen, I'll stop eating for a little bit. It takes place in medieval 1300, 1200, before when the time of king and queens of Europe, right? A young woman coming of age, preparing to get married, arranged marriages. She's courting a lot of princes from other kingdoms within her country, and her family keeps telling her to go after wealth. And I think her fathers had passed away, and just the queen, the mother, and her. and all the princes, she would go visit different kingdoms, and all the princes she would come across were all about money, and they were stuck up, and they were conceited, and she didn't like them very much. But that's all she had. Then she had her one she liked, and she's allowed to date or court. He's a captain of the military. Captain of the military, right? He's a really good fighter. He's been in several wars. And he's earned his stripes. And he's still young too. He doesn't have money, so the family doesn't like him that much, but she does. But she still courts and says, they romance, they flirt, they do what they do. So then she leaves town, maybe 100 miles on horseback. It takes a long time, right? Horse and carriage. She's visiting family out of town, and the whole town gets quarantined for the plague. Meaning, get the hell out of town if you haven't caught it yet. Some dark spots, patches on the body, and itching and sweating and weakness. You get really weak, nauseous, and it's really sick, right? And the plague was known to take out whole cities really quick. That type of illness, right? So her name was Hellcat. I think. Hellcat. So she had a nice personality. She was really nice, but she got sick out of town. But a lot of people had already died in the town, and she got sick, and a woman was nursing her, either a relative or just a nurse in the town. A lot of people were dying. Like, get out of town if you don't have it. Leave your relatives behind and stuff like that. And they sent a letter by mail saying she's turned for the worse and she may not make it. Uh-oh. So then she was being nursed, and she was still her health was still failing. A lot of people in town died, and there was a lot of people that hadn't even been buried, just either in their houses or in the streets even. So there was a few nurses that were left behind, and they had died. There was one nurse left. So the soldier, the captain of the military, he caught wind of this in his hometown, her hometown, which is hers, and he took off on horseback after he heard she was gonna die. Like it was pretty much a terminal illness she had, and she was gonna die. She wasn't gonna make it. So he gets there in a few days, right, on his horse, and the nurse had like 10 minutes of life left and dies. And she was still there. She was very weak. She could talk, but she couldn't get out of bed, sweating and stuff like that. So he tried to nurse her back to health. He went and got some herbs and spices, and he tried to nurse her back to health. And he buried the nurse. Said already died. He prayed. He bathed her. He did his best. Like a week and a half later, she comes back around, and she got stronger and more healthier. She could walk. She could talk. She had more energy. Then she I'm not gonna do. They got healthy again together, happy. They fell in love. They did the nasty, which means they made love. Then they buried everyone in town, gave them a tombstones and stuff like that. And they left. They sent the letter home. 100 miles, right? And what they're gonna do is to bury everybody and head home by horseback. So they're on horses. So one of her relative was gonna be heir to the throne. He was happy, and he didn't care about her very much, his own family very much, and he was waiting about 20 miles out of town, hidden in the forest. So they get into town and near town, and she catches a bow and arrow to the shoulder, blasted off her horse. So the captain of the military sees this, and those two get into it, and they fight, and he ends up killing the guy, the relative. He gets her back on his horse, takes the arrow out, patches her up, and they ride on the same horse into town, and they get married and take over the kingdom, and God bless America, and God bless the globe. Goddess, I love you. I heard Beyonce has something to do with hiding this book off the internet. How about another book written because Dodge created the car called the Hellcat afterwards. This book, I read it in like 2009, 8, 9. Hellcat comes out in like 12, I think, 11. Then the Dodge Demon 3 years after that. Maybe that's how they cut up to the females so fast. Lying and, when they're beat up everybody in the beginning, and then they, 707 horsepower, the Hellcat, and the Demon is 808 horsepower. So why not make a godly vehicle, right? What are they trying to say at Dodge? What does it mean? And what would it mean? I'm fighting everybody. Hey, you owe me a 10-second car.